Yo, so I wanted to make this to show kind of what I'm doing. This is the Lexus 570 or LX 570, and it's got a hole in the right rear tire. I mean, I have to fill it up every probably like hour, and the fleet company is just finishing up with the rally, moving all these vehicles. It's a holiday weekend, so it's not going to happen. So I shoot with the flat tire, or I don't shoot at all. And that's fine with me because it'll be less, it would be a short video anyway. So when I do all the equipment mounting, so basically in the back of the car I have my camera bag, which you've seen before. It's got all my main gear. All my mounts have its own little container. And in this case, I'm doing the headrest mount, which I always use a clamp style onto the headrest. Now it depends on the headrest and on the seat design. If there's a lot of vibration, this mount will vibrate, and that's why I use the Sony B-roll cams, because they are extremely good at handling vibration. And I mean, I haven't found anything better than them, so that's why I continue to use them. Now when I do the mounting, I found that what also helps with the mount, and this is straight up ghetto, but you know what, it works. And it's back from when I was doing all the catch can installs. I had a bunch of PCV tubing. So what I do is I take this PCV hose, split down the middle, and then I raise the headrest and wrap this son of a bitch around here to give it just extra grip. And then I mount the clamp onto it, which gives it a little bit more bite, more friction, you know, to grab onto. And I noticed the shorter the arm, the better the vibration. So I used to use longer arms to give me a more centered look, and you know what? Honestly, it just creates more vibration and less usable shot, so I'll take the off-center shot for more stability. So that's that mount. The next mount is the windshield mount, and it, depending on the vehicle and the windshield design, I can fit less or I can fit more. With the new GH5, so what I had to do before is either plug directly into the camera, into the headphone jack, which is the worst possible way to do it, and then I had an XLR adapter, which then fed in, and it was kind of like a preamp, and I could adjust all the levels. With the GH5 and the new AVX, which is this guy, the Sennheiser, this is the receiver, so it's really tiny. And this GH5 has a XLR adapter that you can mount on the hot shoe, which you can see it has very little clearance at the top, and depending on the car I won't be able to use this. So with the AVX and the GH5, if I just use the camera jack, it will clip every time, no matter how low I have the AVX volume on, so which means the volume level gets too high, even though it's supposed to auto level itself. It doesn't. I have the camera input all the way maxed out to low, and I still clip. So I have to use this XLR adapter, which gives me the ability to fine adjust, you know, gain levels. I can do low and high frequency cut, and it just makes the audio a lot better. And I can record in 24-bit 96 kilohertz, which improves sound and then gets destroyed on YouTube, so it's really pointless. But so this is my typical window mount, and then I will have a secondary cam usually behind here as a backup, or I will have my Tascam sound recorder mounted underneath it as a secondary backup for sound. If the car has really good audio, like good engine sound and all that, I'll record it. If it doesn't, then I don't bother. Alright, so the next thing that I do for external mounted cameras with suction mounts, and people, you know, don't like suction mounts on the outside of cars because they give, you know, they have a lot of times where they fail and then you lose a camera. So what I do is I use 91% isopropyl alcohol and a soft cloth, and then basically hit the surface with it, and I know the detailing freaks will absolutely lose their shit over this, but you know what, this is a press car. I wouldn't do it to somebody's personal car. I would use something softer. I wouldn't use it on, let's say, this car. But you know, for getting outside shots, it's the best way to make sure that the mount is solid. The paint surface has to be cool. Obviously, much like when you detail a car, you don't want a hot paint surface. It's not good for suction at all. So I have to park this in the shade. A lot of times I cool it off with water before I use the mount. So in this case, I need to, it depends on whether I'm using the ball head or not. And in this case, I probably will use the ball head since it's already on here. Alright, so I finished mounting this, and I think I could do it a little bit differently, but essentially this is what happens when you use a 42mm lens. On the front, you have to move it back a lot farther. This suspension mount is designed to stabilize the gimbal, which again, thanks Yuri for the heads up. I mean, unfortunately, I no longer have a lot of access to shooters around me, so I have to get advice, and thanks again. We'll see how this works. So this is side mounted. The suspension keeps the gimbal working. The gimbal cannot be hard mounted, as I learned the hard way. I mean, it can be, but it introduces vibration into it because this gimbal is designed to be handheld, not hard mounted. So this flexibility gives the gimbal it makes the gimbal react more in its natural fashion. So I have this arm supported suction mount here. This is sideways mounted, which Rig Wheels suggested don't do it inverted, do it sideways, it's better. So we're gonna find out pretty quick. And then this is mounted on a ball head, and then you can see the camera angle here, which I can kind of tweak with a remote. And that's about it. Hopefully it all works. Why don't you fucking work? Fuck!